Like with Facebook, it's kind of push marketing strategy. And with any social media, really, it's push marketing. You're trying to push the products on people and say, hey, look, this is what you want, come and buy it. Whereas with Google, it's pull marketing. The customers come to us of their own free will.
We'd much rather, when we've got the choice, put our ads right in front of people that have searched for our product name, for our exact product type that we're selling. We'd rather put our ad in front of those people instead of people that, as you say, are watching cat videos, looking at their family's birthday photos.
Now with the artificial intelligence capabilities that Google has, it's outstanding, the power and the level of data they have. They basically automatically aim for those that they believe are most likely to buy if you set up your campaigns correctly.
Think about the amount of data that Google collects nowadays. I mean, it should put a smile on the face of every advertiser.
Google has thousands of data points on all of us, by the way. Just think how embedded they are into our lives. They own Google Maps, they own YouTube, they own Gmail, they own the biggest search network in the world. You know, they've got analytics on nearly every website. Like, it's incredible the amount of data they have.
How can we talk about now automating, scaling? So everyone wants to know, how can we get Google Ads to be generating consistent thousands of pounds worth of sales every day? How can we automate that and scale to the point where we are running a profitable business on autopilot?
Sometimes we see somebody will sign like one supplier and then they'll just go hell for leather on ads and just start throwing money at the supplier's product to market them. But the thing that they didn't realize. Welcome to the Dropship Unlocked podcast, your key to unlocking the secrets of high-ticket dropshipping. I'm Lewis Smith, founder of Dropship Unlocked, and with me is our client success coach, James Eardley. Now, when we're not recording podcast episodes, we're running our own e-commerce businesses and helping aspiring entrepreneurs launch their own high-ticket dropshipping businesses. So if you're ready to learn how to build your own 6 or even 7-figure business, pick up a copy of my book, The Home Turf Advantage, whether you're looking to replace your income or launch a side hustle. I wrote this book as a roadmap to help you launch a low-maintenance, high-profit e-commerce business that gives you the freedom to spend more time with your family, travel the world, and work on your own terms. Ready to join us? Visit htabook.com to get your copy today. Now sit back, relax, and let's unlock your potential with the Dropship Unlocked podcast.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Dropship Unlocked podcast. With me, James Eardley, and I'm joined again today by serial entrepreneur and founder of Dropship Unlocked, Lewis Smith. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that has been requested many times, and the only way we could answer these questions properly would be to dedicate an entire episode to it. And it's all about how can we drive sales to our e-commerce store using the Google ad platform. So a big topic. Really, really excited to dive into this with you today, Lewis. So first of all, kick us off, Lewis. Why do you think that Google Ads is an important tool in the arsenal of every e-commerce store owner?
Yeah, Google Ads is a huge topic and one that we dedicate an entire week to inside our program. So we'll try our best to condense it into a single podcast episode, but it's a bit of a challenge. But I mean, Google Ads is extremely powerful. When I first started in e-commerce, I primarily invested in social media marketing. So I kind of went down the route that was popular on YouTube tutorials of just run Facebook and Instagram ads or TikTok ads to your store. But I quickly discovered that Google Ads really do have a fantastic reach, but also if you can get it working properly, I've always found that for our type of e-commerce with high ticket products using the Home Turf Advantage model, that if you can get customers to kind of raise their hand and say, I'm looking for this product, where do I buy it? And then we can appear in front of them with Google ads showing them, so specifically Google shopping ads or Google search ads on a Google search results page. It's incredibly powerful. And actually what that equates to is it's a lot cheaper to acquire those as customers than it is to try to distract someone away from the cat memes and the birthday party photos and stuff on Facebook and convince them to leave that platform to come and then purchase a product from your store. So it's almost just going where they are. You know, it's like you're fishing in this huge ocean of potential customers. And with Google Ads, you're just basically just putting your bait to where the customers are swimming, right? Where the fish are. And that's on Google usually. The beauty of Google Ads is that it just puts you in front of those customers as well who are searching for what you offer. So what that means is it leads to higher intent traffic, which obviously translates to more conversions and sales. But if you think about your own shopping experiences online, you'll probably search online for what you want to buy. And a recent study from think with Google stated that 81% of people perform some type of online search before making a large purchase. Now, if you're scrolling through Facebook, you're not considering buying a £1,000 plus product actively, right? You might see something and think, oh, that's interesting. But then that retailer, that brand has quite a difficult job to get you off the Facebook platform onto their website to make that purchase when you weren't really in buying mode anyway. So it's like with Facebook, it's kind of a push marketing strategy. And with any social media, really, it's push marketing. You're trying to push the products on people and say, hey, look, this is what you want, come and buy it. Whereas with Google, it's pull marketing. The customers come to us of their own free will, especially with Google Shopping. And if for anyone that doesn't know what I'm talking about, the Google Shopping Network are the photos of products that appear at the top of a Google search result. So if you type in red sunglasses, you'll see a list of red sunglasses at the top of the search results, and they'll have prices underneath them. Now, what that means is that it kind of qualifies people before they click on those ads, which means we get higher commercial intent clickers or users through to the website, which means a higher chance of them then converting. Because if somebody was just looking for red sunglasses because they wanted to see a few images of them, but they had no interest in buying, they probably wouldn't click the one that had a price next to it. So it kind of qualifies that click as much as possible before getting them to your website, which will help with conversion rates. So a whole multitude of reasons why we use Google Ads, but that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg.
And I think it's quite easy to understand, really, when you think about your own shopping journey with Google compared to when you're scrolling Facebook and Instagram. It was quite quick for me to be able to pick up the fact that we'd much rather, when we've got the choice, put our ads right in front of people that have searched for our product name, for our exact product type that we're selling. We'd rather put our ad in front of those people instead of people that, as you say, are watching cat videos, looking at their family's birthday photos. And that's the difference between social media marketing and Google Ads. The reason why we always steer towards Google Ads with a high ticket dropshipping store. And we've done both. I think we've both done the social media adverts, but we're selling low ticket products. But when you're selling high ticket products, or £1,000 plus, that's when it's going to be difficult to convert somebody that's not already in a shopping mood compared to getting themselves onto Google looking for those products. And that's where we can really make the most of the ad spend that we're going to spend with Google. So now that we've sort of identified that there's so many benefits of Google Ads, how would we recommend that people actually think about setting up a Google Ads campaign?
Well, the good news is that it's a lot easier than it used to be just a few years ago. My first experience with Google Ads was certainly a lesson in understanding the customer journey. I had to really dissect what the customer journey would be, to the point where I had to tailor my ad campaigns in such a way that it made it very complex and confusing to run and difficult and time consuming to maintain as well. It used to be so much more manual than it is now. Initially, I used to have to understand the keywords that people were searching for, depending on what stage of the buying journey they were at. So it's still worthwhile understanding the buying journey, and we use acronyms like top of funnel, meaning if you imagine the buying process as a funnel, where at the beginning you've got lots of people who are kind of generally interested, we call those top of funnel. They might be searching for like cool sunglasses, where do I buy sunglasses? Then you've got middle of funnel, so MOFU or MOFU as we call it, traffic, which might be more brand aware. So they might be looking for like Ray-Ban sunglasses. And then you've got bottom of funnel, and those people are looking for like red Wayfarer men's tinted sunglasses, right? So they are ready. They know the model, they know the brand, they know the color. Yeah, they are ready to go. So they're what we call bottom of funnel traffic, or BOFU as the acronym. So we love an acronym in this industry. So you've got tofu, mofu, bofu traffic. And a friend of mine recently said to me that he was kind of telling me about this amazing coffee machine that he's got, and was saying like, oh, you've got to get this coffee machine. It's a game changer. It's called the Sage Barista Touch coffee machine. And I was like, okay, noted, jotted it down on my phone. When I got home, what do you think the first thing that I searched for was? Right, you go straight to the keyword, don't you? Because I know the brand name and the model name, and I'm in the market for one. So I jumped straight to bofu, straight to bottom of funnel. And what do you think I clicked when I searched on Google for that? It's a shopping ad, right? It's right at the top, tells me the price, has a photo. And so that's good, because when someone clicks the shopping ad, as an advertiser, that's what costs us money when they click that ad. So it's important that we do qualify before that click. And if it's, £1,000 coffee machine, there'll be a lot of people who are out there looking for just a £30 coffee machine, and we would never want them to click our ad because they were never going to purchase. So you're almost disqualifying people who are not right for the product that you're purchasing by putting the price front and center of the product at the top of Google Shopping. So yeah, it's incredibly powerful. It used to take a lot more manual approach, but I mean, now with the artificial intelligence capabilities that Google has, it's outstanding, the power and the level of data they have, they basically automatically aim for those that they believe are most likely to buy if you set up your campaigns correctly. So there's lots of things we can do to kind of give them a helping hand. But once it's set up, one of these things can really be ticking along nicely, making a lot of profit for your business.
I mean, think about the amount of data that Google collects nowadays. I mean, it should put a smile on the face of every advertiser, because now when we put together our Google ads, as Lewis says, if you want to run an online business, like a lifestyle business where it's not going to take up all of your time, it's music to our ears that Google has so much data and it has that artificial machine learning capabilities to find the customers that are most ready to buy without you having to actively point to exactly the right type of people that you need to look at, which is what you used to have to do. But now we really can set up, if you set it up in the right way, you can set up campaigns that will bring in sales and bring in high quality traffic without you having to tinker with the ad campaigns every day. So now that we know that we're going to go down sort of the machine learning capabilities that Google allows, what type of campaigns would you recommend that people set up for an e-commerce store?
Yeah, so there are specific campaigns that we see working really well for high-ticket e-commerce stores where we're selling next-day delivery products, so using the home turf advantage model. I can't speak to other, like if you're selling cheap products from China or you're doing a totally different approach, there might be better ad campaigns for your needs. But for what we do, this works really nicely. And so this is what we've recently updated our program to kind of reflect the latest learnings that we're seeing from our own stores. So it used to be the way that every day I'd be logging into my Google Ads account and I'd be going through and looking at all the searches that came in the day before, and then I'd be adding negative keywords that I didn't want to show up for, so if I'm selling red sunglasses but someone searches for, blue boots or something, I'd be adding that as a negative, being like, why did my ad trigger for that search term? I don't sell those. I don't want to be paying money for them. So that's a constant process, and optimizing my bids for different keywords with different ads and using bid adjustment formulas and rules and stuff like that. And it's just a real time consuming process. It was like a full-time job just managing Google Ads. And now we set up the campaigns with the end goal in mind, which is, for us, lifestyle design is a lifestyle business. It's not something we want to be tied to a desk 24/7 having to manage. And so at first, it's difficult to relinquish that control, because especially if you've come from a manual ads management background, it's quite difficult to kind of relinquish that control. But that's why I now use and recommend Performance Max campaigns. So Google Performance Max is a type of Google ad campaign that allows advertisers to advertise their products across Google's entire network. So things like search campaigns, which appear at the top of the search results in Google, or display, which are the product image ads that appear to the side of news websites and blog websites and things like that. Then you've got YouTube, obviously the ads that run in front or in the middle of YouTube videos, or even to the side or underneath YouTube videos. Then you've got the Discover network as well, which is a whole raft of different parts of the internet that Google can infiltrate. You've got even Gmail, because remember, Google owns Gmail as well. So you see those little ads that appear in the promotions tab of your emails if you use Gmail as well. So it's really wide reaching. And one of the benefits of the PMax campaigns, as we call them, is that it allows advertisers to reach their audiences across all of Google's ad networks from one single simple campaign. And that's not to be understated, because to do this historically, it took a lot of different moving parts and setting things up. So it now simplifies that campaign management, and it just helps ensure that a consistent message is being delivered across all platforms. So that's one of the huge benefits. Another thing about PMax campaigns, which is great and what we like it for, is the automated targeting and bidding capabilities. So you can give it guidance. You can say, for example, I'm only selling in the UK, so only run the ads in the UK. And you can give it certain like audience signals, which we'll talk a bit about as well, and topic overlays and things like that. But Google's AI capabilities automatically adjust the targeting and the bidding based on the advertiser's defined business goals. So we'll talk a bit about what your goals are that you can set up within a Performance Max campaign. But the nice thing is, once you set that goal, the AI just kind of like hones in and just keeps trying to reduce the margin of error until it reaches that goal, which is incredible. It's like having a full-time team of like ad management wizards like constantly working on your campaigns. So that's really, really powerful. And then I think finally, well, not finally, but just another benefit of PMax is the enhanced conversion capabilities. So advertisers can now leverage Google's broad match and enhanced conversions to drive more traffic and more conversions whilst maintaining control over their overall ad spend. So that's a really good one as well. You could argue that PMax picks up too many conversions sometimes. It's a little bit like quick to pat itself on the back. and say how well it's done and how many great conversions it's got. And there are some ways you can mitigate against that. So some things like you can upload an existing customer list and tell it to only search for new customers if you haven't got a market where there's much of a recurring, repeat buyer demographic. And you'll see performance does drop quite dramatically if you do that. So it's not kind of the be all and end all saving grace, like this is the best thing since sliced bread, but it is a really nice simplified way of running Google Ads if you don't want to get into the nitty gritty details of it.
Yeah, and that's the reason why we've chose it and why we spend sort of multiple hundreds a day on Google Ads and multiple thousands per month. And we put a lot of that ad spend into performance max campaigns for a reason. You break it down into those three benefits without getting into the weeds of all the Google marketing terminology, all the different acronyms. Essentially, it will choose the placement that it puts your ads across the internet. It will choose the people, and it will choose how it sends your ads to people based on the goals that you tell it to achieve. So you can do all that, set it up once, and it will then go about showing it in the right places to the right people, achieving the right goals that you want to achieve. So there's a lot to say about running a lifestyle business and having these types of campaigns set up.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting to hear it from an advertiser's perspective, like we're talking about it now. But what I think brings it to life is if you think about it from a customer perspective. So I thought if I were a customer going through this journey, a lot of the time customers who aren't in this world would be oblivious to the way it works. They just see the end result of it. They are effectively a product of Google's marketing, right? Because they will then make the purchase and they become a customer of a retailer, which earns Google money. But what's amazing about PMax is that it can piece together the different customer journeys through your store, and then it can funnel future customers through those same journeys that it sees working in real time with millions of different data points happening constantly. So at the moment, I'm about to go to Greece on a trip in a few weeks. Now, say if today I went and walked into a sunglasses store, right? First thing that would happen, and that whether they admit this or not is a different story in terms of data privacy, but because Google own Google Maps, they know I'm in that sunglass store, right? They can see I am there. They know where I am, right? So that's a first data point. Google has thousands of data points on all of this, by the way. Just think how embedded they are into our lives. They own Google Maps, they own YouTube, they own Gmail, they own the biggest search network in the world. They've got analytics on nearly every website. Like, it's incredible the amount of data they have. So I go into a sunglasses shop, and then maybe say later I'm watching a video about Greece, like researching where to go, the hotel, whatever, right? So now it's like, okay, so you're interested in Greece, looks like you might be going to Greece. Then I book my BA flight, right, and get an email receipt for the flight to Gmail. Well, do you think that it could maybe read the emails that it's getting if it owns the platform? Whether they say they do or don't, the reality is they have that data, right? It's not like someone's actually there reading the email. It's just going to pick up keywords, isn't it? It's going to kind of screen for relevant information and kind of put you in an audience category or bucket. Then say I go and buy some swimming trunks on Amazon. Again, Amazon receipt, go to the email. Gmail sees it. Not to mention, say I bought it in a shop with a credit card or a debit card. They buy the data from these companies as well and can overlay that information on me, and it knows what my buying patterns are. So then maybe say a sunglasses buyer typically looks for, those things. They can then serve me an ad for sunglasses, knowing that all of those data points, even though I haven't searched for sunglasses, I'm a very, very high likelihood for wanting to buy them. And suddenly I'm seeing images for sunglasses everywhere. If ever you've had a chat with a friend about something and then suddenly you think you see it on the sidebar of a website, or you see it on Facebook or Insta, these networks all kind of work in the same way. It's using AI to piece together that story of who you are and what you are likely to want to buy. They're trying to see into the future, which is incredible. And we live in such a fascinating age. And I think the benefit of PMax is that imagine a buyer on your website typically looks at an article on your blog first about the top 10 sunglasses for this year, and then usually say they buy the blue ones instead of the red ones. Well, what Google can do now with PMax is it could send them an ad to the blog post. So it doesn't have to send them straight to the sunglasses, because it knows the majority of people first go to this blog post, then they go to the blue pair. So it can say, well, okay, we'll use the blog post as the ad, get them to that thing, warm them up, then retarget them on, a mobile app or the sidebar of the Daily Mail or the Guardian or something with the blue sunglasses, and maybe a particular offer that you've run on your website in the past that's converted really well. and suddenly you've got them as a customer and they never even searched for your product. So it's incredible. That's just one tiny example that hopefully brings it to life a little bit.
Oh, it's fascinating to learn about. I remember when I first sort of pieced together in my mind all of the data points that they get and the capabilities that Google has because it can pick up this data point. And after you've done your customer journey, as you've described, you went to the sunglass shop, you watched a video on YouTube, you booked your flights, you went and bought from Amazon, and then you purchased the sunglasses from that ad that you were shown on Google. Google will then remember that customer journey. And then for the next person who does that first step, goes to that sunglass shop and then watches a YouTube video, Google can decide that based on the fact that somebody else has already started and finished this journey, that's the point where they should show them a Google YouTube ad at the point where they're only a couple of ways through the journey for a pair of sunglasses. It's already guessed what you're going to do before you even know it. So it knows that you're on this journey before you've even realized that you're going to buy those sunglasses. It's picked up that a lot of other people on that same journey have done that. And we can tap into that as advertisers. So we're not here to talk about the morals of how much different data points it can collect and use to help to sell products for advertisers. As advertisers, this is a real opportunity that we can capitalize on. And through a Performance Max campaign, we give Google the reins, essentially, to learn from all of these different customer journeys. And so it will show our ads in the right places at the right times.
It's true. And I think that the morals side of it is a whole separate debate. But I because of the fact that I use it to our benefit as an advertiser, I also feel as a consumer, it's the way I would want it to be, because imagine that there wasn't this level of targeting. And when I went to a news website or I went to a website, I was just getting peppered with these like irrelevant ads that are just useless and are in the way. But now I look and I'm like, oh, there's an interesting, trip there that I might go on, or a pair of shoes that I actually quite like those shoes. I don't know why. And it's almost like it's reading your mind. And yeah, I mean, it's like the scene in Minority Report, where he gets the eye transplant and then it does the iris scan when he walks into the shop, and it like gives him personalized like billboard offers and stuff in the shop because it knows what that person bought. I feel like that's the way that is going in the future. And to an extent, it's going to benefit the consumer because it's going to show people more relevant stuff for what they might want rather than waste their time with irrelevant stuff. You're going to get marketed to either way, right? That's kind of something that you just accept. So would you want the ads to be personalized and helpful, or do you just want them to be a load of nonsense that you're probably never going to buy? You'd probably fall into the former, right?
Yeah, great point. I think it does serve advertisers and customers as well. So we need to focus on the key metrics, because no doubt when you set up a campaign, it's overwhelming with the amount of different metrics and data points that you see. So it's really important to dial down on what the most important metrics are so that you know how your campaign is performing. So what are the metrics, or what are the key metrics that we need to monitor when we've got our Performance Max campaign set up?
Sure. So first, when you dive into the analytics of Google Ads, there's a huge volume of data, so it can be quite overwhelming. But there are a few key metrics that you really can focus on that can help gauge your campaign's effectiveness and help you optimize over time. So I always use the campaign goal in a PMax campaign of maximizing conversion value, right? So I will, and so just to break that down, that's like telling Google, go and find me as many conversions or sales as possible, but keep an eye on the value of those sales. Don't just go and get me a load of sales for like £5-10 if I'm selling £2,000 products. Try and get me as many higher end, high ticket, high profit sales as you possibly can. So it's like saying, don't just get sales at all costs, get sales with a high value. Now you can also then set a target return on ad spend to overlay that goal, because otherwise if you didn't set that, it could just say, okay, yep, I'll go and get you as many £2,000 sales today as possible, but it might, go and get 3 of them, so generate you £6,000, but come back and say I spent 10,000 on ads, and you don't want that, right? So the target ROAS allows you to say, if for every £1 on ads that I spend, go and generate me X pounds back in sales. So maybe you say, for every £1 I spend, I want £10 back in sales. So a 10-to-1 return on ad spend. This becomes the number one metric eventually to start to measure your ads performance, because it tells you how much money you're making for your investment and whether you're generating a return on ad spend that's profitable for you based on your supplier margins or not. And so Google will also be optimizing your campaign to try and drive sales, but profitably, not just at at any cost.
Yeah, so important to be clear on what your goals are. So you need to know your numbers in order to be able to set the target return on ad spend that you do for your campaign. You need to know how much you need to make per £1 that you spend to be profitable. And the way you work that out is, based on your margin, that will set the return on ad spend target that you have for Google, the different margins that you have with your suppliers. So let's delve into that slightly deeper. How can we actually optimize our Google Ads campaigns then? Now that we've got set up with the target return on ad spend, how can we optimize that for the best possible performance?
Yeah, so setting the right target ROAS at the beginning. I mean, your target ROAS is the average conversion value that you aim for each pound that you spend on ads. So setting that accurately is crucial. If your return on ad spend target that you set Google is too high, then it's almost like Google might just throw its hands up and say, well, I can't get that, so I won't even try, because I don't want to like disappoint you with underwhelming results where you tell me that I've lost you money, so I just won't get you any clicks at all, right? So you'll then see a very low volume of traffic to your site. On the flip side of that, if your target is too low, then you might increase traffic, but you're going to lower your profitability, because, you know, if you say, well, I only need £2 back in sales for every £1 I spend, Google's going to be like, well, I can do that all day long. And then you realize, oh, that's not actually profitable for me based on the margins I have with suppliers. So it's a balance, right? So this is one of the things that we would go through and calculate in week 5 of our DSU program, because we break down. First, you'd find out what your break-even target return on ad spend is. Then you can figure out what your optimal target return on ad spend is. And so we'd usually start at break-even, make our first few sales, and then once we're doing that, we can start to fine-tune it, hone it down, and bring out the profit in those sales as well, even more. And obviously, over time, the more sales you make with the supplier, the better margin they'll give you. And eventually, if you're making a £2,000 sale at a 30% profit margin, you're making £600 profit on every order. So you should be able to do this very profitably eventually. But it's just fascinating. We live in such an incredible time as marketers. It used to be the case that you'd have to just throw money aimlessly at a magazine ad or, you know, a billboard ad campaign and just hope that it generated sales. Maybe you'd put some like specific link on there or some kind of way of tracking, like a direct sales approach. When you call up, make sure you mention this coupon code so that you could like track the sale back. Very difficult to do though, and hard to track, and a lot of waste. Now we can tell with Google Ads, for every £1 that we spend, how much you're getting back in sales. So if you're selling high ticket products like we teach in the Home Turf Advantage model, it's very simple to achieve that, because for every, say you spend £100 on ads and you get £1,000 sale back, that's easy. And you should be doing that to a lot higher ratios actually. So you'll probably be acquiring £1,000 sales for a lot less than £100, obviously depending on which market you're in. But yeah, that's one way of doing it. I think the other way you can optimize is high quality assets, and making sure that your performance max campaigns have enough kind of ammunition to go and find sales for you. So they rely, these campaign types, on responsive ads, which means that they're like dynamically updating depending on the circumstances. Like if a customer's on the Guardian website and there's only space for like a small banner at the bottom, then Google can dynamically update that banner with like, okay, so we want that product there because that customer's most likely to buy that. We want this headline because we've seen this convert the best. We want this sub-headline, and then this is the call to action that works best for customers like this one who've done XYZ search history in the last 2 months, right? So the ad will be specific to that person, which is incredible. And you have to just give it enough high quality data. So like things like headlines, descriptions, good quality product images, high quality videos if you can get them, and just give Google's AI algorithm more to work with so that when it is auto creating ads, it can do it effectively.
Yeah, so we've talked quite a lot about the control that we give to Google in terms of ad placements and the people that it shows our ads to. But there is definitely things that we can control, and the things that we give to Google will make a big difference in terms of the overall campaign performance that you achieve. And as you say, Lewis, the images that we provide and the products that we provide, we need to make sure we are providing Google with products that people want. It's important that you've got some high quality suppliers for your store, some high quality products, because no matter how well you've set up your Google Ads campaign, you need to be able to convert people with high quality products once they do get to your store as well. Important point to mention. So let's talk about troubleshooting. So perhaps the Google ad campaign that you've set up isn't performing as expected. So as well as the assets, the photos that we've talked about that we give to Google, what else can we give to Google to give it a head start to get the best quality performance?
Yeah, with the Performance Max campaigns, they group the photos, videos, things that we provide, headlines, into what are called asset groups. Now you can give those asset groups almost like a push in the right direction when you first launch them. And that's through what they call audience signals. So this is like saying, well, rather than just go out and find me customers, like, here I am as a store, just go and search for them. You can say, well, here are a group of people who have purchased from us before, for example. So it's a bit like a Facebook lookalike audience where it can like analyze the audience, find out the attributes that they have in common, and then go and find more people like it. But you can also do it with things like topics. So you could say, so for example, if you're selling products like sunglasses and you think, well, the customers we sell to maybe fall into the likes to travel bucket or interested in fashion audience bucket, then we can give those to Google as like starting points, and it can go and say, okay, let me find people who like to travel and are interested in fashion and see if I can find some people who convert and purchase sunglasses within those like overlapping buckets. And all it does is it's a starting point, right? Because over time, it will allow Google to go much, much further than just those. It's not kind of like saying, only find me people within these. They're just starting points that get Google up and running. But yeah, you'd want to regularly go in and review and adjust and make sure that things are optimizing well. If you've got any underperforming assets, Google will tell you that this is like a low performing asset. Maybe it's a poor quality image or a headline that's not really resonating with people. You go in, constantly fine tuning and updating your lowest performing assets and replacing them with different versions and iterations of your highest performing assets as well.
Fantastic. So plenty we can do to influence Google to get the best possible performance. Let's troubleshoot for a second. So say we've set up these campaigns, but they're not achieving the target return on ad spend that we set. They're not getting the right performance that we want to achieve with these ad campaigns. What can we do to enhance the performance?
Yeah, I think one of the major turning points in my own journey was realizing that troubleshooting and optimization just go hand in hand. So I'm always fighting fires. There's always things happening. And I don't view it as like, as another problem to solve. I view it as optimizing the business, going in, tweaking things. And as you tweak things, you'll probably see things that are not working quite right. And so, yeah, it's troubleshooting. It's all part of it. The joys of being an entrepreneur. But yeah, if your ads aren't performing as well as you'd hoped, the first thing is identify the issue. Is it low visibility due to a limited budget? Is it maybe the ads aren't resonating with the target audience? Is it that products are not popular in the market? For example, there are lots of reasons it could be. So try not, it's very easy to say, difficult to do, but try not to be driven by emotion at this point. Try and gather the data and make necessary adjustments to get back on track. If you were a member of Dropship Unlocked, we would at this point say, get on a Q&A call with us, let's talk it through. And we will ask for the data. We'll say, leave the emotions at the door, bring the data to the call, and let us help you tweak and make the optimizations needed to get you up and running and working, get your ads working correct. So optimizing your product feed data could be something that you need to do to get back on track. Maybe it's optimizing your target return on ad spend. Maybe it's just setting a different target you need to do. Like we said, if it's too high, then it's going to just say, well, I can't achieve that. So maybe you need to lower it a bit, get some campaign performance before you start increasing it again. Maybe you need better assets, better visuals, images, videos, things like that. Perhaps it's to do with your supplier margins. Like everything's working, but because you haven't negotiated a good margin with your suppliers, it's very difficult to turn a profit. Yeah, things like pricing. Have you got another competitor who's just appeared in the market and is undercutting everybody on price? In which case, you got to look, are you competitive on price? Even like your website design. Remember, the ads is one thing, but the ads are only as good as the website that you're sending the ads, or the people who click the ads to, is. So if you've got a very poorly designed website and it's like all different neon colors and people can't really see what's going on and it's poor conversion rate optimization, then or like a really slow page speed, for example, it takes ages to load, that's going to cause your cost per click to be a lot higher because Google says, it's not a great experience on that website, so we're going to penalize this advertiser by charging them a higher cost per click, making it a lot more difficult for you to get profitable return on ad spend out of it. So these factors all work in unison. They're not like isolated things, which is why you've got so many different levers you can pull. And sometimes the best thing to do is just jump on one of our Q&A calls and just like chat it through, because we can help diagnose this stuff because we've seen it many, many times before. The other thing we can do is add new suppliers into the mix as well. So the thing, sometimes we see somebody will sign like one supplier and then they'll just go hell for leather on ads and just start throwing money at the supplier's products to market them. But the thing that they didn't realize, and this is where taking emotion out of it comes into play, the supplier or the brand of products that they signed might be really unpopular. The market of customers out there might just not resonate with those products. They might not like them. That's probably why they were a really easy supplier to sign, because they were desperate for sales. So we can't force unpopular products on a market. Even if we triple, quadruple our ad spend, we're going to get the same results at scale in terms of like conversion rate. So that's one thing. Sign more suppliers, sign better suppliers, go through the process of researching, identifying, and then contacting suppliers to sign. The other thing is get feedback from customers. So, when I say customers, I don't just mean people who purchased, but people who visited your store. What was their shopping experience like? Is there something that caused friction? Was there some reason they didn't purchase? So that's a really good way as well. You can do that. You can use tools like Lucky Orange to look at what customers are doing on your store and figure out, is there something that, is holding them back? But one thing that I do recommend is that when you make any changes in terms of Google Ads settings, like changing your ROAS or your budget, don't then tweak it again the next day. Let it play out, especially with high ticket stores where you might be making, 5, 6, 7 sales per day. You're not making thousands of sales per day. So let your changes play out for the next 14 days. See where you're at, see what the results are before you review that data and then optimize further.
That's so insightful, Lewis. Thanks for sharing so many tips there. I know that the best data hygiene, as recommended by Google, is to allow at least 14 days whenever you're looking at any data to take any sort of conclusions from. But even better than that is to leave it a week after you made that change. And then the 2 weeks will be the next 2 weeks that you actually look at in terms of getting data from those 2 weeks, and then leave it another week before you were to look back at those 2 weeks in the middle. So if that makes sense. So you leave it 4 weeks and look at the middle 2 weeks to really judge the performance. That way, the first week allows for the changes to be implemented by Google, and the last week that you leave it at the end, it allows for any attribution to be corrected. So any sales that came in the last week would be correctly attributed to the ads that were sent out in the middle 2 weeks. So best hygiene there. Allowing time is always going to be giving you more high quality and more accurate data whenever you're looking back at your performance. So how can we talk about now automating scaling? So everyone wants to know, how can we get Google Ads to be generating consistent thousands of pounds of worth of sales every day? How can we automate that and scale to the point where we are running a profitable business on autopilot?
Yeah, that's the dream, isn't it? My target's always been for my Google ad campaigns to just be able to drive sales on autopilot. So I don't want to be going into my account daily, tinkering around with different keywords and bidding and all stuff like that. Performance Max campaigns allow for sales on autopilot in a few critical ways. So the first is automated bidding. Performance Max campaigns use automated bidding strategies like maximize conversion value or target return on ad spend. And these strategies adjust your bids in real time to get the most value out of your budget. The next, as we just talked about, is automated ad creation. So responsive ads. We talked about the banner size, depending on where it appears on the internet, populating with different parts of your assets that you've provided to Google. So that's really helpful from a creative standpoint. But also it means that if you created one ad in the past with a headline, a description, and a photo, and it didn't work, you'd have to then create one with a different and just switch out the photo. Now you just provide a few different versions of each, and Google can splice them together, make thousands of different versions, and then it can identify not just, that version converts best, but to the point of that version converts best with customers who did X, Y, and Z activities in the past. Like they visited these websites, or they were in this demographic bucket, or whatever. So it's fascinating, just way more than we can do as humans. So we've got to leverage and really lean into that change. The other thing is automated placements. So we talked about being able to show your ads across Google's entire network based on the campaign goal and where they're likely to perform best. Then you've got automated audience targeting as well. So based on your campaign's conversion data, Google's algorithm can automatically adjust who sees your ads. So it uses a huge array of the signals we talked about, where you can upload a historic customer list or demographics, interests, behaviors. So it can find those people who are most likely to convert and what their journey should be through to getting that conversion. So it can almost engineer the sale for you and all of the stuff that happens before the sale, before those customers even know that they're going to be making that sale, which is incredible. It's mind-blowing. The other thing is the automated performance optimization. So Google's AI is constantly learning from performance data of your campaign. So it can tweak and adjust the campaign to maximize that performance depending on the goal that you've set. So for those looking to scale up, my advice is just gradually increase your ad spend on high performing campaigns. Let it have time. don't have a spending cap while your campaigns are profitable. We've got completely unlimited budgets on our Performance Max campaigns, and they reach almost like a equilibrium of profitability, where they'll say, we won't spend more than £400 per day, for example, because if we did any more than that, we wouldn't get you the target return on ad spend that you're happy with. So that's kind of the area that some of our campaigns have balanced out at. Others that are way higher, some are lower. So it's a really nice way of setting it up.
Fantastic. So much in there, so much. Hopefully this has been useful for everyone thinking about how to improve their Google Ads or use Google Ads for an e-commerce store. Let's leave people with some practical tips then, Lewis, to take away from this episode. How can people start to implement what they've learned today into their own Google Ads campaigns?
Absolutely, yes. So my own e-commerce journey took a really positive turn when I started implementing what I'd learned about Google Ads. And just a side note, actually, one of our Dropship Unlocked Masterclass members, Liam, recently, who joined us and went through the Google Ads training that we have in week 5 of our program, said that as well as learning all the stuff to implement on his own store, the knowledge he acquired from doing that has allowed him to then go and get a job at a digital marketing role where he's now helping run Google ad campaigns for the brand that he works with. So incredible stuff, James.
I know, what an amazing side benefit to starting your own dropshipping program, in your own store. Something you probably didn't expect to get, but investing in yourself is always going to pay off. Having these skills that he's now going to have for life, he's never going to have a problem with, initially finding a job in digital marketing, but I'm sure running his e-commerce store for himself is going to be something that will pay him back for years to come.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, so those just starting out, first, you've got to understand your customers and their search behavior. And then once you've done that, you can set up Google Ads campaigns tailored to your goals and your audience. Once you've got a deep understanding of what they're looking for and the types of things that would resonate with them. Then you've got to monitor your key metrics. So optimize your ads. Don't be afraid to troubleshoot if things aren't going well, and make sure that as you are profitable, that you scale without limits, that you don't let the ads be the bottleneck to you scaling. If you're profitable, keep increasing that budget until you reach that equilibrium. And for anybody else who's interested in kind of a more deep dive into this, because we can only cover so much inside a single podcast episode, we've gone really in depth inside my book, The Home Turf Advantage, where we cover exactly how we're driving sales for my e-commerce stores inside that book. So if you want a copy of that, you can head to htabook.com. Just a quick heads up, if you'd like to share your questions, stories, successes, or challenges, you can email us directly at podcast@dropshipunlocked.com. And you never know, we might even feature you on the next podcast episode.
Also, if you want access to today's show notes or any of the resources we've mentioned in the episode today, then head over to dropshipunlocked.com/podcast. We also have a small favour to ask of you. If you enjoyed the show so far, if you could take a minute to leave us a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice.
You wouldn't believe how much your reviews help us grow the podcast. We'll even read out some of our favourites on the next episode. So if you want to be featured on the show, please do go ahead and leave us a review today. Thanks so much for your support. We really couldn't do it without you, and we absolutely love hearing what you think of the podcast.
Now it's time to answer a question from a listener, and the question today is coming from Laura. Remember, if you want your questions answered on a podcast episode soon, all you need to do is email us. It's podcast@dropshipunlocked.com. So that's exactly what Laura has done. So Laura's question is, can you provide a community for people who are interested in starting a dropshipping business to collaborate?
Thank you for the question, Laura. Yes, we do. We run the Dropship Unlocked Masterclass, which provides a community. So that's our in-depth training for those who just want to know every single step to create a successful business for the very first time. As well as the Masterclass training program, you'd also have access to a whole community of other Masterclass members who you can learn from and receive support around the clock from. So that's really helpful community. You can learn more about the Masterclass program by going to dropshipunlocked.com/free. Alternatively, we have the Dropship Unlocked Launchpad community now as well. So this is a community where all the owners of my book, The Home Turf Advantage, are gathered and discussing the tactics from within the book to grow their businesses too. So if you wanted to access this community of like-minded people, all you need to do is pick up a copy of my book at htabook.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Lewis. Such a great question, Laura. Being around a community of people that are aspiring for the same goals as you and growing a dropshipping business is a shortcut to success, no doubt. So keen to see you soon in one of our communities. So now we're going to highlight a recent win that somebody has shared with us inside the Dropship Unlocked Masterclass community. And this win was shared from Mason. So Mason, he posted into the group that we have, and he said that there's nothing better than making money while traveling. He's looking forward to a £10,000 month very soon. And he shared a screenshot of his Shopify store showing us that he had made over £8,000 worth of sales in sort of half of the month. And alongside that, he had a nice photo of his holiday in Spain. So amazing to see. And I completely agree, Mason. There's nothing better than generating money, making sales while you're out on holiday.
There's something very satisfying about that, isn't there? Paying for the holiday without actually doing any work whilst you're there. It's incredible. So well done. Congratulations, Mason. And thank you for sharing that into the masterclass community. Making money back while being anywhere in the world is just one of the main reasons that we run this type of business. So great to see you're reaping the rewards of it. If you're keen to support the podcast, the process is pretty straightforward. The only way we know if you're finding this content useful is if you leave us a review on your go-to podcast platform. Alternatively, if YouTube is more your style, drop us a comment on this video and you might just find your comment being shared in our next episode. Also, consider passing on this episode to a friend. Your exploration into the world of e-commerce, particularly with a focus on mastering Google Ads, might be the catalyst that sparks intrigue in a friend or a family member. And by sharing this podcast, you could kindle that pivotal conversation about harnessing the power of Google Ads to drive sales for your future online business success.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Dropship Unlocked podcast. We hope you found the discussion both inspiring and entertaining.
If you're ready to begin your own high-ticket dropshipping journey, then here's what to do next. I've taken all of the years of my own experience, both in running my e-commerce businesses and teaching hundreds of others how to do the same, and I've condensed it all into my book, The Home Turf Advantage. It's your comprehensive guide designed to help you create your own e-commerce business. And you can grab your copy today at htabook.com.
Stay connected by subscribing to the podcast. This way you'll never miss an episode packed with valuable insights. And if you enjoyed what you heard today, please leave us a review. Your feedback motivates us and we love sharing our favourite reviews on future episodes.
And thank you for deciding to spend your time with us today. We really appreciate you and we look forward to sharing more high-ticket dropshipping insights with you on our next episode of the Dropship Unlocked podcast.